Hey everyone, I'm Mind, and this is set number 80012, the Monkey King Warrior Mech from the LEGO Monkie Kid theme. This set contains 1,629 pieces, 6 minifigures, and retails for $149.99 in the US. This set was sent to me by the LEGO group through the LEGO Ambassador Network, but all opinions expressed in this video are my own. So here is the main build of this set, the actual Monkey King Warrior Mech, and to me this is like the quintessential Monkey Kid set. Like when you ask people about Monkey Kid, this is probably the first set they think of. And while I've covered a lot of Monkey Kid on this channel, I actually never had this set until now because it just didn't interest me that much. But because you guys seem to really like the Monkey Kid reviews on the channel, and this is like the Monkey Kid set from the first wave, I thought I would ask the LEGO Ambassador Network to send it over to me, so that way I could take a look at it for you guys. And having it in hand, I don't know, I have mixed feelings on it. On the one hand, it is undoubtedly very cool, easily the biggest mech I have in my collection, and I am a very big fan of mechs. The colors are incredible, I love all the gold lacquered pieces, and the use of cloth and vinyl pieces is really cool too, and something I've never really seen used before on mechs. And it all ties together really nicely. However, all that being said, I don't know, something about it just doesn't feel perfect to me, but let's take a look up a little bit closer. So start at the feet, and as I mentioned, lots of gold lacquered pieces going on here. Those look really good, though I don't like this gray at the very front, especially with these two studs coming up. I don't know, that light gray is a color that's used a little bit in the rest of the build, but not all too much, and it kind of just takes me out of the overall very elegant look of this. Like, I know it is meant to look somewhat mechanical, but yeah, this just isn't the best look. It's very easily fixable by maybe putting just like another one of these gold bar pieces on the top right there, but it's just weird that that's like front and center on the feet, in my opinion. But yeah, they took the care to make sure the feet look detailed from every angle, including even the back where there's a stickered piece, which is something we don't see all too often. So that's actually really nice to see that they took that care. In terms of articulation, the foot can be moved forward and back ever so slightly, pretty much just one notch there, but then they can also be turned side to side if you want to splay the feet out. There's also a tire on the underside of the feet, and this is something I've seen them do a few times before, and that's essentially because the rubber helps it grip to the ground a little bit better, because without it, all the smooth hard plastic would make it slide a bit more. The feet are exactly identical on the other side, everything's just mirrored. Came with the legs, lots of texturing all throughout. Again, I really like those gold lacquered pieces, and the more rounded pieces give it a really cool look too. I really like the way they covered up the ball joint at the knee right here, with the like new staff end pieces that were introduced with this wave of Monkey Kid. Those work really well and give a somewhat mechanical feel, while also hiding like the actual physical ball joint that's used to make it up. You can see those can be hinged up though if you want to see what the actual ball joint looks like. Now that ball joint is at the knee, however this guy doesn't actually have movable knees. It's the same like false knee thing that plenty of other LEGO mechs do. It looks good for display, but obviously it's a bit more limiting for play. Looking out the back again with the legs, just like the feet, they took the care to make sure it looked good. And while it's definitely not the prettiest part of the build, it definitely looks better than the backs of a lot of other LEGO mechs. Getting similar sticker part to the one that was on the back of the foot. And I like this little lantern hanging down right here. This is on a mini ball joint. And that's a small thing, but I don't know, I feel like it really adds to the theme of the build. This isn't the only lantern used, there's a few others in other parts of the build. But yeah, I think they're genuinely really cute and add a lot. Once again, the other leg is exactly identical. Then we come up with the waist of the build where we have these vinyl pieces. And I go back and forth on these. I'm really not sure what to think of them. On the one hand, they look great, don't get me wrong, they fit this guy absolutely perfectly. The design is beautiful, the colors are beautiful, and they have articulation too, so you can like fold them up if you want. So no, I really like them in terms of just the looks. However, on the other side of that, I don't know, something about this feels not like LEGO to me. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm too much of a purist, but vinyl pieces like this in the past I've really only seen used for wings and for sails, so using them as such a significant part of the build kinda does feel strange to me, it just doesn't feel like LEGO, and that's not inherently a bad thing. Maybe this is progress, maybe this is where LEGO needs to go, because as I said, it does look good, but part of me wishes they'd found a way to do something similar with bricks, but I don't think anything could have done it this well. So yeah, that's not really a criticism of the build, but just for my personal taste, I don't know, something about it seems a little bit off. But yeah, that doesn't mean it's bad by any means, it definitely looks amazing. The actual joints that connect the legs to the torso could be better. However, it would require introducing an all-new part, because this is like the best joint that LEGO has, but because this mech is so large, I feel like it's too heavy for these joints even. Like, even just moving it around for this review, the weight of the top section causes it to collapse plenty of the time. Or not collapse completely, but lean backwards or forwards. So I think for like kids playing with this, that may not be the most fun. However, it is sturdy enough that it will stay in place if you don't touch it. So as just like joints for a display set, I think it's fine. Now moving up to like the chest of the torso, I think this looks amazing. Again, I love all the lacquered gold pieces, especially like this Nexonite shield piece down here. I think that's a really cool part to get in that color. Got a few stickered parts, and then this is actually also the seating area for MK. You can open the chest up like this, and there is plenty of room to fit a figure in there. In fact, it's very spacious inside. There's also a low control panel at the front, which I guess the character inside would use to control the mech. But yeah, as funny as it sounds, this little interior seating area might actually be my favorite part of the build, because a lot of times the seating area for mechs is very small, but no, there is plenty of room for a figure or two in there. So you can just plop him in like that, close it up around him, and then you can even see his face, the hole in the center. That's genuinely a lot of fun. I really enjoy that. Coming up to the head of the mech, this is absolutely perfect. It has a bit of rotation to it. You can turn it left left and right, as well as angle it down a bit if you want. But they captured the little monkey face perfectly. He's got this printed eyepiece, which actually might have been introduced for this set, but it's been reused multiple times since. I love the little monkey ears out the side, too, the way they did the nose, it's perfect. And then, like, the golden lacquered bananas on his head. It's goofy, it's fun, and it's just absolutely perfect. Like, genuinely, I just love it so much. Just look at this guy. He also has these two, like, tentacle builds coming out the back of his head. I think they're meant to be, like, ropes or tassels, or I don't know the word for it, but just like the actual Monkey King minifigure has. Like this, see? And on the minifigure, I think it looks good, but on the mech, there's a reason I call them tentacles, because, yeah, that's what they look like to me. I get the idea is they're supposed to be flowing in the wind or whatever, but unfortunately, I don't think that was effective. They feel too stiff, the curve on them is not natural enough, so they just come off as a little bit awkward to me. I honestly think the set looks best if you just completely remove them. They are on a mini ball joint, so you can angle them in different ways if you want. And there's a second mini ball joint, too. So there's 2 points of articulation. And I've played with it a bit, but I've yet to find an orientation where I feel like it looks great. So it's a fun idea and obviously very easy to remove, which is probably what I'm gonna do. But yeah, I just don't think that design was done the best. Also back here, we have a bunch of vinyl flag pieces. And unlike the vinyl and the clothing below, these vinyl pieces don't bother me at all because vinyl has been used for flags before. There's 4 different variants, and here are the first 2. They each have a different Chinese character on them, so if anybody wants to translate, please do in the comments. But yeah, no, those genuinely do look very good. And then we come to the arms, we're actually gonna start at the very base of the hands. Because this mech holds a giant staff, which is a very cool idea and concept, but I feel like in execution it just doesn't work the best. And by that I mean you can see I have him holding it out like this and it looks fine, but getting the staff in any sort of battle pose can be a bit difficult. Even trying to like mimic what you see on the box, I don't know, I always have trouble with it. And like that looks pretty good, right? But that's actually causing the staff to warp a bit. It's coming up in the center. I'm not sure if it's that noticeable on camera, but it's definitely noticeable in person. So it can just be very finicky. That doesn't mean there's no good poses you can get it in, but again, this goes back to my point is this works better as a display set than a playset, which for a lot of collectors is perfectly fine. I mean, I don't know how many kids there are buying $150 sets anyway, but because Monkey Kid is a theme that is targeted towards younger fans a bit, I do think there probably could have been a better way to include this staff. However, you do have the option of shortening the staff as well. You can disconnect the long part from the center, as well as one of the ends, then reconnect that end to the other side, and there you go, now you have a significantly shorter staff. However, again, this one feels too short now. And of course, in the world of Monkey Kid, the staff does grow and expand, so this could be a smaller version of it, and then you can imagine it enlarging. I think that was meant to be the point. But the way I would have done it if I was the designer is, number 1, I would have made the longer staff a little bit shorter, and number 2, I wouldn't have actually had it connect to both hands. I would have had it connect to one hand, and then it could just lay in the other. Now, if you have this set, that's a fairly easy customization to make. You just have to remove this ball joint and Technic piece from this hand, and actually connect one of these staff ends to the long part of the staff, but I think that would definitely lead to more posability. While we're here, let's take a look at the actual hand. There's 4 individually posable fingers, 3 are on clips and 1's on a mini ball joint. The ones on clips do tend to fall off every now and then if you're actually playing with this. Like if you're moving the staff around, sometimes one of them will just fling off. But that's just LEGO for you, I don't think that's the biggest deal. They're done pretty well. The wrists can also turn too, which is actually pretty nice. Always like seeing more forms of articulation. And then moving up the arm, we just have lots of little bits of detailing. Stickers, gold lacquered pieces, lots of different red and yellow rounded pieces. A little bit of teal at the top right here. Then we get to the elbow, which as you can see can be articulated, and behind that there's another one of those lantern pieces. That is also once again on a mini ball joint, and the elbow is not the prettiest when the arm's fully out, but when it's bent, which is the way you'll have it most of the time, it does look pretty good, and I'm glad that articulation is there. Coming up to like the shoulder area, you have like this weird spike right here. I'm not sure exactly what the point of that was, maybe to look like some sort of armor, but I can't say it looks bad, it's just sort of surprising. Again, more gold lacquered pieces, and then the arm connects to the body on a hinge, so it can be rotated up and down. And actually, wait, I call that the shoulder. This is the upper arm. This is the shoulder. And the shoulder is this large rounded red section. You've got a sticker on the front with this warning symbol. And something pretty cool is this entire section can also be rotated. Just move it up and down. So plenty of articulation on this arm overall. From the shoulder to the arm to the elbow to the wrist to the fingers to the actual ball joint in the hand, there's lots of different ways you can pose this guy, which I really like. And then to wrap things up, turning this guy around, you can see there is a large cloth cape piece. And just like the vinyl pieces on the front, this looks good, but it doesn't feel like LEGO to me. And again, I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it doesn't feel like LEGO. It looks good, it ties everything together, but it does feel strange to see in a LEGO set. And then coming out the back, there's a little monkey tail with a bunch of individually posable joints. Again, that adds the whole monkey aesthetic. I like all the gold lacquered pieces again. And ending it off on a ball joint is a little bit weird, but I think it works well enough and fits the overall theme of the build, so I don't mind it. And if you're curious real quick, there's how the back of the mech looks if you lift up the cloth piece. Definitely not the prettiest, but obviously the cloth is meant to cover it all up. But yeah, that's about it for the actual main build of this set, the Monkey King Warrior Mech, and there's a lot to like here. This is a very unique set, but I'll go into all that more at the end of this video. This isn't the only thing in this set, so now let's move on to the side builds, and then the minifigures, and then I'll give you my overall thoughts. So the first side build in the set is this little city street building, and I don't know if this was necessary to be included, but I mean, it's pretty good, so I'm happy it's here. Starting at the outside, we have a little arcade cabinet right here. You can see on the side, it's got a sticker that says the best game. A sticker like joystick piece right here, as well as a physical joystick that I guess you're supposed to move back and forth. You can imagine minifigures playing the game like this. The game looks to be currently paused, and the other sticker's pretty hidden, but I'm pretty sure it's exactly the same as the one on the other side. Then we have another stickered part with a little bit of graffiti on the wall right here. You have the Monkey Kid symbol. Not sure exactly what that says. THIX? I'm not sure. There's also a little box of Pigsy's noodles right here. Speaking of, I think this is meant to be a little storefront for Pigsy's noodles. And while Pigsy himself does not come in this set, I guess maybe he has multiple locations and other people working there. Or maybe the idea is MK is supposed to work here. But yeah, you can see we got a pot, some food, some sauces. And looking inside, we have a little oven and stovetop. The stovetop has a sticker piece with some grease behind it. That's actually pretty fun. And the oven can be opened up. It's just one of the classic LEGO like mailbox pieces. There's also a little fire extinguisher on the wall, which is obviously very important to have. Moving up a floor, you can see there's a little sleeping area. Actually, wait, I think this is meant to be MK's apartment. Yeah, because it's right above Pigsy's noodle shop. Okay, yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. Weird that Pigsy isn't in the set. But yeah, you have a picture of Monkey King on the wall, as well as a picture of May, a little bed for a minifigure to sleep on, and a couple of windows to look out onto the street, and you may notice there's also a red Technic piece in there. And that's because if we go back around the front, you can see there's some fish hanging out here, as well as a little pipe. And this pipe corresponds to the play feature. If you turn this pipe back, it actually breaks open that wall. This is the kind of play feature you normally see in like LEGO Marvel sets. It maybe feels a little out of place here, but it doesn't really take up that much space. It's not super noticeable, so I definitely do not mind it, and I think it can be fun. On the side of the building, you have a little lantern hanging down. There's a big sign for Pigsy's noodles right here. And then the roof, you have a little tiny rooftop garden, as well as a billboard, which I believe is for Sandy's Shipping Company. Right, that's the same logo that's on the headquarter, like, boat set. Regardless, that's a very cool stickered part. Yeah, I think that's about it for the side build in this set. I don't think it was necessary to be included, but I still think it's pretty good. And it's a nice thing to add to your LEGO Monkey Kid collection. The next side build in the set is the cloud that Monkey King rides on. And this thing is awesome. It's a very simple little build, but I think it's an awesome thing to get because obviously it's significant to the show and the Monkey King legend. They did like the waves on the back of the cloud perfectly to make it look like it's flying through the air. There's studs on top to fit Monkey King and maybe one other character. And then as you can see, it's held up by a clear bar piece to make it look like it's floating in the air. Yeah, absolutely no complaints with this one. This is very cool. And if you're curious, there's how Monkey King looks actually standing on it. And then the final side build in this set is a little tiny mech for the Demon Bull clones. And I absolutely love this one. Small mechs are some of my favorite things in LEGO. I mean, you guys have seen with like my Evo mechs and everything. I love mechs of this size. And I think this guy is adorable. The use of the metal beards on like the shoulder pads is really interesting. The angle of the legs is really interesting too, because they are mini ball joints and can be articulated, but they can't go in any further than this. So it makes it look like the mech's always in a wide stance, and I think that's a lot of fun. The shape of the feet is simple, but matches the bull aesthetic really well. There's a little cockpit area that opens up. It of course has a golden ring to match the nose rings on the actual bull clones, and you can hinge that open only a little bit, but that gives you enough room to put a figure in or take a figure out. And there's how it looks with the bull clone removed. Again, the arms are always at somewhat of a wide stance, but there is still articulation on them. And then there's also an elbow with a little radar dish at the front. On the other arm, the upper shoulder is exactly the same, but at the elbow, instead of like the radar dish with like the spear coming out, instead there's a little stud shooter which connects on a ball joint. And I didn't know the stud shooter with a ball joint on it was a piece that existed. I don't believe I've ever seen it before. But wow, that's actually a really cool part that connects onto mechs perfectly. And I think it works really well here. Yeah, I'm curious what are the sets that was used in because I don't recognize it at all. But of course it works like any other stud shooter. You push down on the top, and that thing at the front shoots out. And then one final side build in the set, we have like this little grassy hill with a little peach tree growing out. We've gotten similar builds in other Monkey Kid sets, but it's still very cute to get here. Printed peach pieces do come in other sets, but those are very nice to get because it's a really cool part. Now moving to the minifigures, here are the first two in this set. We have Monkey Kid and we have Monkey King. These are both figures that have come in other sets, so I don't have a ton to say about them, but they are both really fantastic. LEGO went all out in designing the Monkey Kid figures for the first wave, and even later waves too. And that like very clearly shows. The dual molded legs on both of them are really amazing, and I love how Monkey Kid has side leg printing too. I do feel like Monkey Kid's original design is one of his less interesting designs. I prefer like his season 2 and 3 designs, but the torso print is still pretty good. Never been a huge fan of the headphone piece, but it was a fun new part to get, and obviously you can always remove it if you want. And then the face print and hair piece are obviously, of course, very good. I really love the red makeup and the facial expression on this one. And turning around, you can see, of course, he has his symbol on the back of his jacket, and his alternate face is a somewhat neutral expression. Monkey King, however, is amazing. Now, as I just said, he does come in another set, but that other set is also very expensive, so this is still a very cool minifigure to get. He uses the Mr. E armor in gold, but actually works really really well for him. And just like all the different gold printing all throughout. I love the bright orange on his torso. He just looks so elegant, but also the armor makes him look very powerful. And then the tassels coming off the top of his head, the cape around the back, it all ties together just so perfectly in my opinion. Genuinely just a fantastic minifigure. Really good expression on him too. And taking his armor off there, you can see his full torso print, as well as his alternate face and back torso print. Back torso print, once again, very good. Yeah, I am genuinely super happy with this guy. At the time the set came out, he was exclusive, and it's just a fantastic minifigure all around. No complaints from me. Then the next two minifigures in the set, we have General Ironclad, and then we just have a generic Demon Bull clone. And I've talked about this before, but I think the Demon Bull clones are super lame. Like, the idea of them in the show is cool, I guess, but execution of the minifigures are just fine. Like, getting one Demon Bull clone is cool. Like, it is a good minifigure, but then they're all exactly the same. I wish there was more variation between them. I know obviously they're meant to be clones, so they're meant to look the same, but I don't know, mix up the printing on their armor, give them slightly different like helmet variations, and give them leg printing too, because the lack of any leg printing is really lame. The other super lame thing is the fact that General Ironclad is literally just a generic Demon Bull clone with some of the purple parts swapped out for gray. That's it, that's the only difference. He has a cape and like an armor piece, and he has a slightly different weapon, but the actual printing and helmet are exactly the same on him. He's meant to be the general. I don't know, I feel like they could have made him more interesting. It's cool to get him here if you don't want to like customize him yourself, because I guess the cape piece is technically exclusive, but that's the only exclusive part of him. The rest of the parts come in other sets, so you could theoretically make him without the cape using parts from other sets. So yeah, I don't have a ton to say about these guys. They look fine, but they are just boring to collect. There's a look at them without their helmets, just have like these trans orange headpieces, and there's a look at their back torso prints, which again are identical. Fine inclusions, but yeah, they just don't excite me that much. And then the last two figures in the set are two just generic civilians. We have Gia and Anne, and as such I don't have a ton to say about these guys. They just reuse parts from LEGO City. The torso in Gia is pretty good though. It's one that's been around for a very long time. I think they actually updated it recently, and this is the updated version. But I mean, it's a very good part to have if you don't have it yet. I really like the hairpiece on Anne as well, and fairly decent face prints of the both of them. There they are, the hairpieces removed, and there's a look at their back torso parts and alternate faces. It's cool to get scared faces for generic civilians too, because like you don't see that as often in like LEGO City sets. So obviously, yeah, these figures are not like a big driving force to get this set, but it's cool that they're included. They can just add some more life to your collection, so no complaints from me. And so, what are my overall thoughts of this set? The one thing I haven't touched on with this set is the price. And in 2020, when this came out, I would have told you this set was overpriced. That was my opinion at the time, and having built it up, yeah, this doesn't feel like a $150 set in the year 2020. However, it is now 2022 and LEGO prices have all gone up and this one has not. So compared to modern LEGO prices, this is actually a pretty fairly priced set. Thinking of other like $150 sets this year, yeah, this is in line with them, if not better value. So I'd say with the current state of LEGO, this is a fairly priced set, but for the year it came out, it should have probably been $10, maybe $20 cheaper. All that being said, I'm pretty happy with it. The mech itself is obviously a sight to behold. I don't think it's a great set for play, but it's an amazing set for display. It looks absolutely beautiful. It uses a lot of techniques that don't feel like LEGO to me. So for some people you might be okay with that, other people you might not like that, but it definitely makes it unique, which is something I like. I think my biggest criticism with this set though is the minifigure selection. For $150, this minifigure selection is really lame. Pretty much the only main driving force to get this set is Monkey King, because Monkey Kid comes in every set. General Ironclad is technically kinda cool to get, but he does come in other sets, and also he is literally just a generic Demon Bull clone with a few parts swapped out, and then we just have two civilians and another generic Demon Bull clone. I think putting more main characters in the set would make it more desirable. For example, like Pigsy would fit in perfectly, or Tang actually, because he wasn't in the first wave at all. So minifigure selection is definitely not a driving force. So would I recommend this set? I mean, if you've been holding out on it for this long, clearly you're not super interested, but I'd say it's one that's worth picking up if you find it on sale. I know Amazon puts the Monkey Kid sets on sale every now and then, so if Amazon has this one for 20–30% off, and you are still interested in maybe getting it, I'd say for that price, yeah. But having built this all up, I'm glad I had land sent to me and I didn't spend my own money on it, because I don't think I would have been satisfied if I had spent my own $150. So take from that what you will. I'm not saying it's a bad set by any means, it is very, very good, but it just feels expensive and not perfect in my opinion. But I don't want to come off as too negative. Genuinely, the build, especially of the main mech, is absolutely beautiful. There's a reason this is like the iconic Monkey Kid set, and I think if Monkey Kid as a theme goes away in a couple of years, this is one of the sets that will be remembered for a very long time. But those are just my thoughts. Let me know what you guys think of this set in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, please just like, subscribe to the channel if you're new. I do LEGO videos just like this one almost every day, so if you subscribe, you'll be the first to see them. Thanks for watching, everybody, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!